Okay, thank you, John. As John says, I'm Alan Carlton. I am very pleased to be here today to speak at this great event, and also we're very happy to sponsor this track, and I'm very excited to see such a full room for an economics discussion, which is wonderful. But a little bit about InterDigital for some of you who maybe don't know too much about us. InterDigital is a company who's been innovating for some 4 decades. We were actually formed back in about 1972, and we have a long history of innovation through the various generations. We're probably best known for our innovation in wireless, but if you actually look at what we do today, we really are involved in quite a diverse mix of research and development areas, ranging from next generation wireless, machine-to-machine technology, Internet of Things, advanced middleware, and other things. We're about 180, 200 engineers at the moment, and probably at this moment in our cycle, we're probably about 60-40 or 40-60 with research and development, or probably 60% research, 40% in development, in terms of where we are, in terms of our various research and development cycles, in terms of what stuff is coming through the pipeline for us. And I would say in general we're trending more to being a development organization and bringing more IP blocks to the marketplace. I head up our UK office in London with the charter of driving greater collaborative activities into things like the Technology Strategy Board. You look at EU projects, Horizon 2020, there's lots of interesting stuff going on there. And what I'm going to talk today about is one of these. Within the context of this strand, I'm going to talk about one of the activities that we've been working in the last few months in the area of integrated transport. So like I said, my talk is somewhat in the area. It's in the space of the Internet of Things, and that would really be a perfectly reasonable subject matter, I think. And talking to my 2 colleagues here, I think there's going to be a number of discussions or presentations on the Internet of Things, but it's such a huge space, an ethereal space. And, I always like this quote from John Chambers because it kind of just sums it up. It's a big space, $19 trillion of opportunity. Certainly maybe the biggest economic driver, or one of the biggest economic drivers of our businesses today. But I'm going to be a little bit more focused than that. I'm actually going to hone in on the transport industry, and very specifically looking at local authorities and how we can get these guys who are sitting on literally mountains of big data, which touches every one of your lives today, but you have no access to it in any material sense. We're looking at ways to economically open a whole new category of data to the world today. I'll just go on my soapbox for a little second here and just challenge your thinking in terms of the overarching theme of this conference. It's changing the world with wireless. And one of the hats I wear is starting to look at 5G and next generation research. And the biggest message that is coming back to me in terms of everything that's driving wireless, it's the verticals. It's all the verticals. It's 2G. Was about voice, 3G was kind of about voice too, 4G was about video, 5G, wherever we go next, is about bringing vertical requirements into wireless. And I really personally believe that there's a slightly more subtle truth. It's really going to be the world, as in the vertical markets, that are going to reshape wireless going forward. But I digress. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is a project that we have dubbed One Transport. It's a project that has been driven out of a Technology Strategy Board initiative, a competition, if you like, that we've been working on a feasibility study over the last few months with a number of partners: Buckinghamshire County Council, World Sensing, a small analytics firm up in Edinburgh called Track, Candidly, all folks who know a lot more about the transport industry than I do, I come at it from a telecoms side, an M2M, machine-to-machine type side. But this project is all about opening up the deep, big transport data in an economically viable manner. Some background on the project. My opinion on where we are and where the transport industry is today is on a journey. We're in the world of machine-to-machine right now, and we're on a journey away from the closed silos that have been formed out of generations of a custom project activity that have brought us to this world. And we're on this road to the Internet of Things. Internet of Things will be driven by open data. But as part of this project that we're looking at and we're analysing the transport business, and really with the transport business, it's really quite stalled at the moment in terms of where it's at, in terms of moving to that next step of opening up its data. It's it's an incredibly fragmented market. It's dominated by very entrenched vendors and players and the like. All of its data is largely closed behind traffic control systems, management systems, and there's really no economic motivator. It's very much living in the paradigm of one data asset to one application. That's the way it works. Get a data asset, write an application for it, and that's the world, right, in terms of how they operate. Think for a second if we lived in a world where GPS was still thought of that way. It's really, that's where we're at. They are sitting on a mountain of data, and if we can get it out, there's potentially huge economic impact. I'm going to share some travel snaps with you. This is a few snaps we took at, as part of this activity. I've got to go to some interesting events, and one I attended was this Intertraffic event in Amsterdam at the RAI. It's the MWC of the transport business. And what's really very striking about this business is walking about the floor. It's really, the takeaway was fundamentally, it's like this industry is where our wireless industry was 30 years ago. Made in Britain, made in Holland, made in Bavaria, made in Germany. Very, very entrenched. Very, very siloed. It's like walking, we talk very ethereally, very in the abstract about all the silos and all that sort of stuff. Walking around this trade floor was like you're bumping into a silo one after the other. Really, where this industry is we haven't seen anything like this in our industry since 1G, when we were back having basic national wireless systems in every geography. There's a huge opportunity here for disruption. Like I say, the transport industry is stalled, and it's stalled at that management services layer. Sitting behind that, in the UK, the system or standard that defines that layer is called the Urban Traffic Management and Control System. Everything stops there. All the data stops there. It doesn't get beyond this closed silo. Really, this picture, I could draw the same picture for the energy business. I could draw the same picture for the health business. It stops at that management services layer, and behind it there's a wealth of data. And that, in a nutshell, in my mind, is the barrier between the siloed machine-to-machine world and the promise of the Internet of Things. What we are doing in this project is trying to come up with a philosophy, something we can enable local authorities to use to open up some of that manner, motivate them economically to open some of this thing, because it's not going to happen for free. Some views from one of our partners, Buckinghamshire County Council. We held a local authority workshop about a month or so ago. We got about 30 different local authorities together to share some of this thinking, get their feedback, understand what their perspectives were. And pretty much the same. We got a lot of feedback, but this is Buckinghamshire's view. They like their UTMC system, it works, but they realise it's not future-proof. They realise they're sitting on a colossal amount of big data. They realise they could do some more with it, and they recognise that other folks could do more with it, and they know it because they've got application developers knocking on their door. big application developers saying, can we get access to this data? But there is no economic motivation for them to open that data. They can't do it on a one-to-one basis. They have to get into a model where it's a open once, sell to many type philosophy. That is where technology can really help. They've played with application development, and they found they're not very good at it, and like most of us probably were, it's not really what their business is about. What they really want out of a platform is they understand traffic patterns, but they want to understand behaviors. They want to create a feedback loop. The way the transport industry works today, the value chain ends at the local authority. It ends at the operator of the transport equipment. It doesn't come back to anybody in this room in any real dynamic fashion. And they want to get plugged into that feedback loop. So because they can take that and they can take that information to drive their transport planning, drive a better network for all of us. So what's the big deal? What is the data we're talking about? What we're talking about opening up? And it's useful in this discussion to think about the transport application roadmap a little bit. And this is what I've tried to do in this picture in terms of painting a picture of how much we've achieved with relatively so little data. In the beginning, there was GPS. We got sat-nav systems. GPS costs came down. We got phone navigation systems mixed in with a little bit of static data. Rolling through today, we get blended real-time applications that are mixing in some open data initiatives that kicked off round about 2010 or thereabouts, but it's really opening a really tiny fraction of the big data that's possible. You might argue that Waze, I don't know how many people in this room have used Waze, it's a very popular app, it's probably the state of the art in transport applications today. And what does it do? What enables it? GPS, bit of MEMS data, and crowdsourced information. What we're talking about is taking this to the next level, opening up a whole range of new data. Traffic flow, car park signals, traffic links, routes, signage, everything that could be plumbed into an application. Don't ask me what application. I'm not an application developer. I'm in the picks and shovel business. I'm in delivering a toolbox, But if you think about how much has been done with so little, what could be possible, in the right hands, the right application developers, if we get this information into their hands. So what is it? It's a new suite of IT functionality. It's completely complementary to management systems of today, the UTMC systems, its new capabilities. It's a cloud-based system. It's based on open standards. It's open standards that InterDigital has been working on for a number of years, IoT and M2M, in terms of delivering that common service layer. It's a future-proof strategy that can be leveraged to position the transport industry in a strong position rolling into this Internet of Things future. One Transport is all about transport data. It's about opening this rich set of assets. It's about opening this. We've identified somewhere between 25 and 30 unique assets that have never been exposed to the application developer community before. We want to do this, but they're really doing this, the devil's in the details. Again, it requires an enabling platform, and this is what we're building with this One Transport vision. Brings together the enabling functionality of search and discovery, storage, publishing, usage, rights, data brokering, data trading functionality, so two local authorities can dynamically share data, without a huge governance process. It's about opening up a marketplace for analytics, for data analytics, given a place to place analytics and very specific transport application enabler functionality. It's introducing a middleware layer into the transport business. What it'll do for local authorities, it takes off, it opens the potential for new revenue generation opportunities for them. And really, it's really low-hanging fruit in some senses. From a local authority perspective, they're getting no money right now for this. But their value really lies in the indirect benefits they can get from this. If we can get to a place where we can cover the costs on this in terms of delivering a technology solution to the local authority, the indirect benefits to them are enormous in terms of how they can drive their system, how they can complete the feedback loop, how they can meet regulatory, governmental, and other requirements. It enables a whole new application community driven by independent business models. It provides dedicated means for managing apps. It's this notion of open once, sell to many. That is a challenge. And like I said, they are being approached. They are being approached, but they're kind of putting their hands up and going, I can't have an individual discussion with every application developer community. It's just not feasible. It's implicitly an open data solution. And critically, it supports application performance analysis. One of the biggest challenges in the transport business is coming up with things that can assess impact. Congestion is this notional concept. It's impossible to measure congestion in any real sense, in any benchmark sort of manner. But what you can do is you can observe behaviors. You can watch people doing different things, and that's a more meaningful KPI in that industry. What One Transport does, it changes the economic model for local authorities. It makes local authorities web publishers of data to the application community who consumes this data. In the middle, you have the One Transport service enabling platform, where you've got an open marketplace, where basically you've got enabling functionality, analytics, smart transport application middleware. And of course, they could do none of this. If they do none of this, everything stays the same. You leave the power with the legacy players, and everything stays in the status quo. The data value is limited by the lack of open marketplace, thus you're stuck and entwined in this crazy single data asset, single application spiral, which goes nowhere. Applications continue to be need-specific. They're not disruptive in nature, and systems continue to be a combination of this siloed functionality. Not a future I would bet on. Leave the last word from Buckinghamshire, and as part of this, we're actually talking to a number of local authorities, and we're getting similar feedback from a number of them, and some of the larger cities as well, in terms of interest in some of this vision. One Transport is a solution to help us deliver the transport network of the future. Doesn't seek to replace legacy functionality like their UTMC system, their management system. It's a new functionality. They want a platform to enable the monitoring of, go beyond traffic patterns and understanding traffic and traveler behavior. Create that loop. Do nothing less than complete the value chain, a broken value chain, which is amazing in this day and age if you think about it. It stops at the local authority. It doesn't get to anybody in a real sense in this room. But if you have applications that use this information, then you become part of the value chain. And the last but not least is they're already getting hassled for this data. They know they're sitting on a gold mine of information, and they're keen to work to open it up. But it ain't going to happen for free. We're going to have to get to some paradigm, data as a service, platform as a service, which is, maybe not so wild for MD in this room, but it is quite a paradigm shift in an industry that is sitting right now where we were some 20, 30 years ago. But it's an exciting opportunity, I think. Okay, that's my presentation. In terms of where we are with this project, it is in the feasibility study phase. We are looking for other partners in this project. So if this project seems of any interest to any of you in this room, please approach me over the next the remainder of the day. And if you feel you get something you can bring to this, I'd be very pleased to talk to you. Thank you.